The hidden lessons of the fables in the Old Testament. Welcome to this video about the hidden lessons of the 9 fables in the Old Testament. A fable is a short story that uses non-human characters, such as animals, plants, or objects, to teach a moral lesson. Fables are different from parables, which use human characters and situations to convey a spiritual truth. In this video, I will show you 9 examples of fables in the Old Testament and explain their meanings. The first fable is the Fable of Jotham to Abimelech, also known as Jotham's Fable. It is found in Judges 9 to 7:15. This fable is told by Jotham, the youngest son of Gideon, who escaped the massacre of his brothers by Abimelech, his half-brother who wanted to be king. Jotham tells a story of how the trees wanted to choose a king and asked the olive, the fig, and the vine, but they all refused. Then they asked the bramble, who agreed but warned them that if they did not trust him, he would send fire to devour them. Jotham uses this fable to warn the people of Shechem, who supported Abimelech, that they made a bad choice and that Abimelech would bring destruction upon them. The second fable is the Fable of Joash to Amaziah, also known as the Thistle and the Cedar. It is found in 2 Kings 14-9. This fable is told by Joash, the king of Israel, to Amaziah, the king of Judah, who challenged him to war. Joash tells a story of how the thistle asked the cedar to give his daughter in marriage to his son, but a wild beast passed by and trampled the thistle. Joash uses this fable to mock Amaziah's pride and ambition, and to warn him not to provoke a war that he cannot win. The third fable is the parable of the wise sower, also known as Isaiah's parable. It is found in Isaiah 28:24-29. This parable is told by Isaiah, the prophet, to the people of Judah, who were relying on a covenant with Egypt for protection from Assyria. Isaiah tells a story of how a wise farmer sows different kinds of seeds in different ways and threshes them with different instruments according to their nature. Isaiah uses this parable to show that God is also wise and knows how to deal with his people in different ways according to their situation. He also uses it to show that God's word is like seed that produces fruit in those who hear and obey it. The fourth fable is the Fable of the Trees and the Bramble, also known as the tree's choice of king. It is similar to the one told by Jotham, but it is not clear who is the original author or speaker. It may have been a common folk tale that Jotham adapted for his purpose. It has the same message as Jotham's fable, that choosing a bad leader will lead to disaster. The fifth fable is the Fable of the Thistle and the Cedar, also known as Joash's Fable. It is identical to the one told by Joash, but it is not clear who is the original author or speaker. It may have been a common folk tale that Joash adapted for his purpose. It has the same message as Joash's fable, that challenging a stronger opponent will lead to defeat. The sixth fable is the Fable of the Lamb and the Wolf, also known as Isaiah's prophecy. It is part of a prophecy by Isaiah about the future reign of the Messiah, who will bring peace and justice to the world. Isaiah describes a scene where natural enemies live together in harmony, such as the wolf and the lamb, the leopard and the goat, and the lion and the calf. Isaiah uses this fable to show that God will transform the world into a paradise where there will be no violence or oppression. The seventh fable is the Fable of the Lion and the Vine, also known as Ezekiel's Lamentation. It is part of a lamentation by Ezekiel for the princes of Israel, who were taken captive by foreign kings. Ezekiel compares Israel to a lioness who gave birth to 2 cubs, who grew up to be strong and fierce lions, but were caught in traps and taken away by hunters. He also compares Israel to a vine that was planted by water and bore fruit, but was plucked up by its roots and burned by fire. Ezekiel uses this fable to show that Israel's glory was destroyed by its own sins and God's judgment. The eighth fable is the Fable of the Eagle and the Vine, also known as Ezekiel's Riddle. It is part of a riddle by Ezekiel for the king of Judah, Zedekiah, who rebelled against Babylon after making a treaty with them. Ezekiel tells a story of how a great eagle with large wings plucked off the topmost branch of a cedar tree and planted it in a fertile land, where it grew into a low-spreading vine. Then another eagle with large wings came and tried to make the vine bend its roots and branches toward him, but the vine refused and trusted in its first planter. Ezekiel uses this fable to show that Zedekiah was unfaithful to his oath with Babylon and sought help from Egypt, but that he would not succeed and would face God's wrath. The ninth and final fable is the fable of the pot and the kettle, also known as Ezekiel's parable. It is part of a parable by Ezekiel for the people of Jerusalem, who were under siege by Babylon. Ezekiel tells a story of how a pot was filled with water and meat and placed over a fire to boil. But the pot was rusty and dirty, and the fire burned the meat and the bones. Ezekiel uses this fable to show that Jerusalem was full of bloodshed and corruption, and that God would punish them by fire and sword. Thank you for watching this video about the fables in the Old Testament. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. See you next time.